Hola, mi gente. Were you waiting for me? Hi. Let me get a mic check real quick. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Let me know how my sound is before I get started. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one. If you guys saw the thumbnail, this is gonna be a good one. Let me get a mic check real quick, mi gente. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm good. I'm not underwater. I don't sound like AI. I'm good. Okay. All right. All right. I'm good. Hola, mi gente. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I'm YouTube's bad girl, Jen. Okay. As you guys know, I am on the block with Jen on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. On the block with Jen. I am easy to find. Okay. Not easy to get along with, but easy to find. If you want to Gmail me about a subject, a topic, something you don't want anybody else to know, you want to speak to me personally or privately, hit me at ontheblock@gmail. On the block with Jen at Gmail. I am not looking for a husband or a boyfriend, so do not go in there for that. I am strictly business. I'm also down for a collab if you're popping, okay? It has to make sense to both you and me. That's why I collab, if it makes sense and it's beneficial to us both. Otherwise, we are both wasting our time. And I hate wasting time, okay? With that said, you don't have to have 1 million followers. You can have 2. If you're really good looking and you're intelligent or you're funny or you're good with topics, I will collab with you. So I'm not always about your sub count. I'm about what's in your head, right? And how you want to present it. All right, guys. So welcome. I want to give a special welcome, okay, to my subbies, my regulars, people that are here for the first time. Welcome. Buckle up, okay, because it gets bumpy here, but you're going to like it, I promise. I also want to give a special shout out to people who are just lurking, all the people that say they don't like me, but they're still here watching. Hi, how are you guys? I'm glad to see you here too. Also, the people that are just curious about me because motherfuckers do 3, 4, 5 hour streams about me and say my name all through their stream. Welcome, you guys, if you were just curious about me because you saw me on someone else, well, not saw me, but saw a bunch of people talking about me or talking about me for like an hour. I think it's always amusing when people send me these links or they tell me about these people who are talking about me because they have this whole scenario in this bio about me, though I've never spent time with them or space or oxygen. But I always find it amusing when I do watch these clips. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I've never met him before a day in my life. We've had a couple conversations and they're giving their audience an entire bio about me. So I'm glad that you guys came to see for yourself what I'm about, okay? Tonight is Friday. Welcome. I hope everybody is good and healthy and feeling good. And I hope you had a great day. And if you didn't, that's why the sun is going to set tonight, because tomorrow is another day and you could try again. So I'm happy to see you guys here. Tonight is going to be really, really interesting. As you guys know, when I dislike someone very much, I go off and I talk about it. But I like to have balance. I love balance. I stress balance to you guys in relationships and friendships, dealing with your relatives. Balance is very, very important. It is a skill a lot of people don't have. And then they wonder why their relationships or, associations or friendships or things are just they go left because a lot of people don't know how to practice balance. It is a skill, it's not just a word. So tonight is very, very special. Okay, it is a first. This is going to be a first Friday. What's a first about it? One of my good friends, Walter, otherwise known as P.O.P, he's in the chat right now. This is his first time ever on a YouTube panel on camera. So I want you guys, okay, to give him some grace and some patience. He's never done this before, although he's an amazing writer who has a page on Medium, on the writing website Medium. He's an amazing writer. He also does music, but he's never done this panel. So let's give him some grace, okay, and some patience. Let's not get crazy in the chat. Speaking of the chat, My wrench holders, you already know, get rid of the ratchets with those wrenches. I don't mind passionate debating. I don't mind all capital letters. I don't mind exclamation points. You guys could get at each other in the chat, but don't disrespect each other specifically. Don't disrespect the women. I know a lot of men on YouTube in these spaces. It's a free for all, and people let you disrespect women all in their chat for the sake of views and subscribers. I don't give a fuck that much. I will not let you disrespect women in my chat, and you know damn well you're not going to disrespect me, because I'll kick you through the block uprights. So everybody who's holding on to a wrench, please be mindful of that, and don't take no shit. Do no harm, but don't take no shit. All right, guys. So tonight, the subject, the topic, okay, I think is really, really important. We talk a lot about YouTube beef, a lot, okay? We dissect YouTube beef. We start YouTube beef. We lurk at YouTube beef. We subscribe to people who YouTube beef, right? That's usually what happens in our communities, in these spaces, right? And I say in these spaces in general. No one has a space here. I know you've heard, black spaces, Latin spaces, white spaces. Nobody has a motherfucking space here, okay? It is a free-for-all. It is the wild, wild west. No one owns a space here, okay? It's just very reminiscent of like the neighborhoods that some of us grew up with, where motherfuckers are fighting for street corners. Those corners do not belong to them, okay? They are residents. But when people don't have anything else, what they start doing is claiming shit that's not even theirs. But there are no black spaces here. There are no Latin spaces here. The only space you're on is the white space. YouTube is white owned. It belongs to whitey. Same as Facebook, same as Instagram, same as TikTok. We are all in a white space, a very white space. So get that through your head. Okay, moving on. Tonight's topic, I don't know if you went to my community section, but I'm going to be talking about two gentlemen, okay, who I have a lot of respect for. And they used to know each other. They used to kick it, right? They don't anymore. I think they had, and I'm guessing here from conversations I've had with both of them, all right? This isn't concrete. They'll come up and clear it up. But I have a lot of respect for these two gentlemen, and I'm friends with both of them. And I find them both very, very valuable, okay? But I find it interesting that they used to, kick it, and now they don't any longer. But they still mention each other, and not in a negative way, but it comes up in conversation, right? And I want to have a good conversation tonight about communication, because sometimes we throw the baby out with the bathwater. As soon as someone says something we don't like, we cut them off. With that said, I'm an advocate for cutting motherfuckers off. If they are toxic, if they are negative, if they have weirdo energy, cut them the fuck off. Because some people, they never change, and it's a waste of time trying to figure out why they're assholes, right? With that said, I see so much good in both these guys, right? I really, really do. I appreciate talking to them for, a lengthy amount of time, all right? Both these guys, I feel, are a contribution to their communities, to their friends, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, okay, guys, look, let's get down to the bottom of this. Usually, things aren't cleared up. People just say peace and deuces and don't speak to each other anymore. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for both these two gentlemen. I thought it'd be cool if I could bring them up and be an example of, people that sometimes don't get along or have a falling out, just ironing out their differences. With that said, this is not a kumbaya session, right? I am not trying to connect these two men together so they can go skipping off and picking daisies and lilies from a field. They may never speak again after this, but I think it's important that when there is a difference of opinion to the point where I'm not fucking with you no more, we should at least put out there what it was and maybe how we can move forward in our future dealing with people going forward. It does not mean that those two people have to kiss and make up and sail off into the sunset. That is unrealistic. Everybody we meet, we don't have to hang on to till death, right? We are ships in the ocean, and sometimes we're just passing by, right? Which is great. But this topic is very, very important to me because, again, I said I have a lot of respect for both these gentlemen. Now, if I didn't, I'd be like, I don't give a damn. I have a lot of friends, not only in these spaces, but off. And sometimes my friends don't get along with each other. And I'm like, okay, they just like, yo, don't fucking call me when she's around. Well, don't call me when he's around because, I don't get along with him. But I'm in the middle here. And this is a good middle because both these guys are good guys, right? None of us are perfect, even though I don't like that phrase because it's usually used as an excuse for fuckery. But I'm saying it in the vein of none of us are perfect. So you're not gonna like how I handle shit. I may not like how you handle shit. And I'm a New Yorker, so I don't like how a lot of people handle shit. Okay, we're born fussing in New York. We're born fussing, right? So I want to bring these gentlemen up. I know there's a lot going on in celebrity news and stuff like that, and I give you guys a monologue, but I don't want to do that tonight. I want to get straight to this topic. I think it's important. I may or may not open the chat after I have the discussion with these men. I don't know whether or not they want to take questions. We will find out. I don't know how long this is going to go. This can go 15 minutes. This can go 2 hours. I do not know. Okay. But I'm very curious to dig deeper as to what happened between these two men and see if we could come to an understanding. Because sometimes I'm very abrasive and I talk a certain way, and people are like, Jen, you didn't have to say it like that. And I'm like, And if I respect you, I will consider it. I will consider it. So I think all three of us tonight have a lot of respect for each other, even admiration. So let's kick it. I am going to welcome up Walter P.O.P. as soon as he hits that link, and Haran DeMarco. You guys know Haran. He's On the Block with Jen favorite. Hello, sir.
Hello. According to some people, I'm your right-hand man.
You are. Let me touch on that. Real quick while we wait for P.O.P. because here's the thing. I've been here every time I get along famously with any man. If the human being has a penis, we hear a lot. Oh, he's simping for Jen. Oh, he's simping for Jen. That's why he over there simping, right? He up her ass. They said he up her ass. Let me tell you who's up my ass. Let me be very, very clear who's up my ass. Who's up my ass are the motherfuckers that cam up and dedicate 1, 2, and 3 hour streams to me. Y'all up my ass. Okay. As far as On the Block with Jen is concerned, this is like a freaking bar. This is like Cheers, right? Like the sitcom Cheers. And I know I'm dating myself, but I don't give 0 fucks, right? 48. But this is like the show Cheers, right? Where everybody knows your name, where you come and you kick it. Similar to all other YouTube channels, they all have their regulars. That's what happens here. But what these motherfuckers try to do is try to diminish the friendship I have with men. And they say, he's simping for Jen. He up Jen's ass. Yeah, I'm a good look. It's no secret. But that doesn't mean that I can't have fucking male friends. So if the only way you can have a friend, the only way you can be friends with a female is being up her ass, then don't include any other men in that conversation, because the people who are literally up my ass are you motherfuckers who are lurking right now watching me. No, you don't get along with me. No, you don't like my talking points. No, you don't like my point of view. No, you don't like my delivery, but yet you're here. Y'all are up my ass. You motherfuckers that throw my name in the caption. Because let me tell you, Haran, P.O.P., none of the guys in this chat do 1, 2, and 3 hour streams about me. None of them. That's y'all. When these guys cam off, we are not talking on the phone for 2, 3 hours. We're not even hanging out. We don't even live in the same state. So the ones that are really up my ass is y'all. That's why y'all watching right now, though you don't get along with me. You're up my ass. So with that said, we will move forward with the conversation. I just wanted to touch on that, Haran, because I hear a lot of that chatter on YouTube. They up her ass. They simping for her. You guys haven't done anything for me. You guys haven't come to change my tire or fix my washing machine or paint in my room. So I don't know what the fuck they talking about. You simping for me. You guys don't have my address. You don't send me flowers. So I really don't. I don't know what the simping shit is. As a matter of fact, you and I specifically, it goes down in the DMs, and not in a sexy way, okay?
Right.
You and I go and we throw around, topics and different things. But these motherfuckers don't know that. They just see a man and a woman on a panel and they assume someone's up my ass. But they're saying that because they don't have access to me anymore. Let's keep it 100. Okay,
Exactly.
They don't have access to me anymore. So what they do is 1, 2, 3 hour streams and have a whole chat talking about me. Y'all are up my ass. Because people I don't like, I don't do 1, 2, 3 hour streams up. I just cut you off and you are dead to me. Deader than dead. Deader than the deceased. And you know why you are deader than the deceased? Because there are a lot of deceased people I know that I still talk about, that I still care for, that I still love. You motherfuckers are deader than them. You're dead. You're the walking dead. Because you will not hear me, ring your phone, talk to you, talk about you, or whatever, okay? What's up, Trevor Jackson TV? I love you back. So, Haran, good to see you. First of all, let me commend you and Walter P.O.P. Okay. Let me make sure he's not texting me. P.O.P. hit that link. I don't see you backstage yet. Let me know if you have a problem with the link. Let me commend you two brothers, okay? Let me commend you two brothers on tonight's topic. Black men are not a monolith, but can they still be an asset to each other? There's a lot of beef in the YouTube space between Black men. Now, I know with that said, don't come after me. I know that there are coalitions and LLCs and groups in the manosphere where men get along famously, right? But I'm not talking about men that get along famously in negativity, right? There's a lot of that. So people think, oh, look at all those Black men over there getting along. No, they are trauma bonding. They are hate bonding. They are bitter bonding. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about men that really do get along for a good cause, right? In a positive nature, right? That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you motherfuckers that congregate a bunch of ogres and a crab talking about people. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about Black men that really get along. Black men are not a monolith, but can they still be an asset to each other? Can they still be an asset to each other's friends and family? Can they, right? Or can they just, think, I don't think the way you think and I'm cool, but I'm not your enemy, right? So here's Walter P.O.P. What's up, Sherelle? What's up? Can I get some podcast? Hey, sir, how are you?
You hear me?
I can hear you great. This is your first time I was telling everybody, so I took your virginity. Not bad, P.O.P. Not bad.
Love it.
I'm your first.
Let's do it.
Yay. So welcome. I'm so excited about tonight. Oh my God. Every now and then I have a topic that warms my heart, and this is one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at Haran DeMarco and Walter P.O.P. I think he prefers you call him P.O.P., right?
Yeah, P.O.P. is cool.
Okay,
P.O.P. Pop, either one.
P.O.P. or Pop. With that said, both these gentlemen, like I said, I have a lot of respect for. They both do music, okay? They both do music, okay? So we got artists up on the panel tonight. I want to commend you gentlemen, because let me tell you, it is a rare sight to have two men that kind of like, you guys never had a conflict, never had an argument, never had a fist fight. You kind of just like, you know what, from my understanding, and you guys are cleared up, from my understanding, you guys just had different views and decided, you know what, deuces, I'm just keep to myself and you keep to yourself. And that's just on the surface of what I know. I'm not about to talk for you two. I want you to do that. I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and then you can elaborate. I just want everybody in the chat up to speed. So I want to commend you for coming on here and even having this conversation, because this takes cojones. Okay, this takes cojones. It's a lot easier to not like somebody and then go run tell that for an hour, 2 or 3 on a fucking stream and talk shit about somebody on a fucking stream. Even though men present themselves like, well, whatever you got to say to my face, because I'm gonna tell you to your face. And then they scurrying to their stream, right? And you're not even in the room, and they talking about you for 1-2 hours. And you ain't even in the room. You didn't even get the invite. So I'm glad that you guys accepted my invite. And I want people to know this was impromptu. This was last minute. This was not planned. This happened today. This happened today, and y'all both said, you know what? Okay. And I love how you both were apprehensive at first, like, what the fuck Jen planning? What the fuck is Jen?
Yeah, because it was kind of like, I don't know.
I was like, what is Trust me. Trust me. And I know it's hard to because you know how I do. I'm stealth. I'm not Obama. Okay. So, guys, welcome, Pop. Welcome, Haran DeMarco. Let's get into this. All right. How we all met. Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Facebook.
Facebook.
We all met via Facebook, and we've all known each other for years after, which is really, really cool. Now, none of us have ever met in person. The day we do, woo! Okay. The day we do the party. But we haven't met in person thus far. And I don't know if you're here for the first time, but Haran and I had like a big falling out on Facebook. We've told the story a million times, but if you're here and you've never heard our story, Haran and I, we're like most people that end up my friend. We're both saying fuck you, right? At the beginning of our introduction to each other. I'm very vocal on Facebook. Surprise, surprise. I'm very vocal. I'm very controversial. I'm very abrasive on Facebook. And Haran he took issue with a lot of my topics and how I addressed them. So we both kind of like said, fuck you. The blocking happened. And then we never spoke again. And then some years passed by. And I see Haran lurking around, checking some of my topics. We're going to keep it on her note, like the kids say. I see him lurking around, throwing some comments in the chat and what have you. And I was side eye. I was like, didn't I block this motherfucker about 2 years ago? Okay. But then we started, conversing lightly. Then we took it to the DM. It was about the topics, right? He's a New Yorker as well, so he has strong opinions. The thing I like about Haran is like every other New Yorker, we can dish it out and we could take some shit, right? Because it's just the way, we wake up and our good morning is usually like, get the fuck out my way. That's a good morning in New York. That's a good morning on the subway, right? So we have tough skin. With that said, everybody doesn't. So like Haran and myself, we can be very, very abrasive and not understand that not everybody handles life the way we handle it. And we're like this, right? We're speedy people. We're New York. We're always rushing. Yeah. But sometimes we don't have patience. P.O.P. I met on Facebook as well. I love me some P.O.P., okay? Now, he is the complete opposite of me. The complete opposite, okay? He reminds me very much of my sister, who's also the complete opposite of me. Dig that. You guys would love my sister. She's the complete opposite of me as well. I gravitate towards good people. And sometimes good people, okay, aren't wrapped up in the big pink pretty bow with the glitter on it. Sometimes good people are abrasive. Sometimes good people are shy. Sometimes good people, don't always have something to say. Sometimes good people always have something to say, right? But I gravitate to the core of a human being, right? Some people's cores are fucked up and there's no hope for them. But I found it intriguing that I'm like, wait a minute, Pop and Haran are like day and night, but I get along famously with both of them. So there's something there. And I wanted to know, screenshot that shit. And I wanted to just dissect this a little bit. So P.O.P. Pop, I want to give you the mic first. Okay. Let's talk about first introductions to each other, you and Haran specifically. I'm taking myself out now. Specifically, how the acquaintance started. I'm going to say acquaintance. I can't really say friends, even though Facebook calls us friends. But how the acquaintance started and when did it turn for you?
Well, I was going to let Haran start first.
You want him to start first?
Yeah.
Nah, you let Pop start. You can start.
Okay. And y'all can hear me fine, right? Because I was supposed to be on my Bluetooth, but it's not. I don't want to mess with anything. I don't want to mess anything up. But y'all can hear me good, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Okay, good. Me and Haran, him and I actually known each other like off of Facebook for years. I don't remember what year it was. But Haran, what year did you release your CD? The one that How I Met You Through. I forgot the name of your CD, but I think it came out in the late 2000. The late 2000s.
No, it came out in the early 2000s. It came out in 2004, actually.
Okay. Well, whenever you released that CD, I don't know how I came upon your CD, but that's how we connected. You know, does that sound correct to you?
Yeah, you were on my mailing list.
Okay.
Mailing list. Yeah.
So, you know, we connected through music. I actually, you know, was a big fan of his album because, you know, he, you know, mixed rock and hip hop, and you know, I was into that. So, you know, I was a big fan of his music, and that's how everything started. It all started through music, and I was just, you know, I didn't really tell him. You know, when I'm a fan of somebody's music, I really, I don't necessarily tell them what I do because I just like being a fan. You know, I like to compartmentalize things. So, you know, I was just a fan of his music. I didn't tell him I did music. I didn't tell him I write. I didn't tell him any of that. I just, you know, I just wanted to be a fan of music. And then I think it crossed over. You know, we linked up on Facebook, and we started. You know, we started chopping it up about other things beyond music. Talked a lot about movies and pop culture and stuff like that. But yeah, it all started with music, you know. Of course, it led to deeper things. So it led to, you know, us chatting more and you know, knowing each other like on a personal level. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. You know?
Okay, so you guys, you started as a fan of his music,
Absolutely.
and then you guys started kicking it, and then the conversations got more, would you say, personal about your lives?
Most definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay, so we'll pause there, Haran. What was your intro? What would you describe your introduction to pop? How was it like?
Oh yeah, I can pretty much confirm that that's what happened. Um, we shared a couple of things here and there in terms of like, interests outside of, music and so on and so forth, or whatever artistic interests. And I recall that one day, he was once we started talking about some other things in the DMs. One of the things that he talked about was he was having some issues at home with his wife at the time. And he I'm not gonna get into all that. That's not my story to tell.
Correct.
But he was having some personal issues with his family. Now, we went back and forth with that, and I think that's where that's kind of where the tires hit the skids.
Okay, so he confided in you because a man that's telling you about his wife or any problem, any personal problem, he felt comfortable enough to confide in you, basically.
And that's not an issue at all. However, I think the rims hit the road when I felt that, and I'm saying this from my own personal perspective based on who I am. I felt that he shouldn't have kept talking about it. He should have taken action on certain things. Because I personally would have. Now again,
because you would have, you said?
Right, exactly. I personally would have. Now again, this is coming from me. my personal way of doing things and so on and so forth. So I really couldn't connect with him, you know, I mean, keep going, you know, he's continuously going through a particular issue. And basically after a while, you know, a recurring theme, you know, I mean, that I felt that I kept hearing when we were having conversations was basically not tackling an issue right then and there, nipping it in the bud. And I had to disconnect with that personally.
Okay, so let me pause you right there. Super chat break really quickly. Breathe, gentlemen. We're going to get into this. We're going to dissect it, I promise. Thank you so much for the super chat, Alpha Villains. Alpha Villains says, and he has a dope channel, by the way, Alpha Villains. He says, necessary topic and show for men to tap into. We have a long way to go, but there is power in numbers. Keep grinding, Jen. Salute, sir. Thank you so much. Absolutely, I agree with you. Okay, so Haran, did you entertain and I'm going to ask some tough questions, but I am neutral.
Oh, of course.
I'm neutral in the sense of I want you guys to at least communicate as to why the acquaintance or friendship, however people want to paint it, just end it, because I think it's something that can help other people, not just us, right? But other people. That's why I'm bringing this out publicly. Haran, let me ask you, did you not only entertain that conversation about his personal life, but did you indulge? Did you ask questions? Did you dig deeper as he was talking? Or were you upfront like, look, dude, I don't want to hear about your personal life. Let's talk music.
No. I did indulge. You know what I mean? He got into some heavy stuff. You know what I mean? He got into some heavy stuff. And personally, you know, I mean, the point that I was trying to make to him, you know, and maybe I could have, in hindsight, maybe I could have presented it a little better. You know what I mean? Because I can be very much a bull in a china shop. You know what I mean? A lot of times. In hindsight, what I was basically trying to tell him was that it is what it is. Sometimes something is what it is, and you can't allow it to put you in a loop, or you know, essentially deter you from where you need to be personally. You know what I mean? You should be concentrating on personal development and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Not, you know what I mean, concentrating so much on a situation that isn't working in the best favor that you want it to. That was my overall goal. Now him and I had that conversation literally years ago. So I'm paraphrasing a lot of things.
And that's fine. That's
fine. Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. But first, I just want to make a point to Haran. That happens a lot, because I want to dissect this and let people know that happens a lot to us New Yorkers and abrasive people in general. We think hindsight, right, all the time, because we grow up in a rough city. It is not a myth, right? Now, I'm not saying New York City is the best city or the worst city, but we grow up in an environment that's very rough. So we're very quick about solutions. Get the fuck out my way. Come on, never fuck. But in hindsight, it happened to me where I'm like, oh, I didn't really mean fuck off. I meant I didn't want to talk to you, but not like not talk to you ever. I just meant today, right? So it's great that you're looking at it in hindsight. Before Pop responds, because I want him to respond to what you said, can you just answer yes or no, Haran? Because I don't want to be
no problem.
I don't want to hold up Pop. But did you also confide in him about your personal life ever?
No, it was really about him.
Okay. All right. So okay. All right, Pop, what did you want to say?
Going back to where I think things went left is, or first of all, when he first started asking me about my personal life, I was already divorced. I wasn't going through anything. We were already divorced. And, you know, I was pretty vocal, a lot more vocal than I am about things that I was going through. like on my Facebook post or whatever. And one of the posts in DM, Haran like asked me about, I forgot exactly what he asked me, but it was something pertaining to, I think he asked me if he mind asking how did my relationship, like how did it end or whatever. And we had been knowing each other for a while. And, I'm thinking that, here's a chance for like some brotherhood, because sometimes it's good to talk to another man about these issues. So, I thought we had a brotherhood. So, that's where the door was open. That's where the door was open to my personal life. But he initiated asking about like what happened with the end of my relationship, end of my marriage. And after that, one question led to another, and it seems like he asked a lot of questions. I didn't start these conversations. I mean, he asked a lot of questions, and eventually, like the questions became, the questions became like too much, and it's like, why is he asking me all of these questions? I mean, of course, I could have just said like none of your business, and eventually, but after a while, he knows. I told him like I'm not answering that. I don't want to talk about my personal business anymore. But I thought we had this brotherhood, and I talk. I like to have conversations. So he was asking questions. I put it out to him, but I don't know. Haran just seemed like he had this critical thing about him. He always after a while, I felt like, instead of us having conversation as equals, he was talking at me and looking down at me, like basically like he was better. He had this air about him, like I'm better than you, and like I'm an alpha, you're a beta. So that's what I felt like.
Okay, all right. Let's breathe. Let's take a super chat break on that note. Okay, there was a lot unpacked right there. Thank you so much, Big Elvis, the Chef Rosenberg, my star report homie. Thank you so much for that super chat. First, let me start with this, Pop. It's very important. Something you said is very, very important, especially us living in crucial times of mental health and men and mental health, right? I understand just the brotherhood and just wanting to speak about, X, Y, and Z. And it's important that men have, right, a confidant, a friend, or somebody they could just unload on every now and then, because men are raised, as we all know, put up, shut up, man up, this is a man's world. This is how it's supposed to be. Don't cry, suck it up, get out there. Men are raised that way, but emotionally, they're not, catered to, right? They're not catered to, and then they can explode later on as we've seen a lot, or they grow bitter, as we've seen a lot of, guys in the manosphere behave and what have you. So it's important. I think it's very important that men do have somebody, to talk to. Do you feel like, before Haran responds, do you feel in a way that you were ambushed? Like, you asked me all these questions, I'm giving you the answers, and now you're using it as ammo to put me in this beta box, and you're this big alpha. Did you feel that way?
Yes, I did. And I felt like after a while, once I realized that the friendship didn't feel genuine, it felt like I was an experiment. Like, I felt like he was psychoanalyzing me, and he knows I told him this before. So that's what I felt like. I felt like, I felt like I was this experiment, and he was doing a lot of psychoanalyzing, a lot of judging. After a while, the energy just, when you have a conversation with somebody and every time the conversation is over and you feel drained and you don't really feel good about it, that's not a good relationship. So it's like, if the energy is always draining and it's like, you're not an asset to me, I'm out of here. I'm like,
okay, so glad you brought that up, because I said, the topic is Black men aren't a monolith, but can they still be an asset to each other? So it's interesting you brought up asset. Haran, now I can vouch. Haran asks a lot of questions, right? But so do I. I'm constantly, I am a people watcher. I'm a people observer. I both love and hate humanity. I'm a misanthropist. I told you guys before, it's funny that I've been called racist because I'm like, y'all thinking too small. I'm a misanthropist. I hate humanity as a whole. I think people tend to be very ugly to each other, very, very parasitic. You know what I mean? That's what I think about the human race in general. I know Haran asks a lot of questions. I can vouch for that, but I ask a lot of questions too. I'm constantly trying to figure out why people think what they think and and I'm trying to learn from them as I go. So I'm not so much asking to psychoanalyze, but that's me, that's Jen. So Haran, why don't you explain, because I'm not you, I can't speak for you. Why do you ask so many questions in general, and why were you asking P.O.P so many questions in general? Because that would be kind of weird to ask someone a lot of questions, and then when they divulge, you're like, oh, well, you're a beta, you're this, and blah, blah, and you should be doing this, and you should be doing that. You tell us, sir, why do you ask so many fucking questions?
Well, a little background on me. I am literally the son of a psychiatrist. That is number one.
Ding, 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 ding.
And number two, I'm also a software engineer, which means that I'm literally entrusted to create systems that people use on a day-to-day basis. If your system is not working and so on and so forth, guess what I do? I ask you a whole bunch of questions, and I ask you why, what did you do, what's going on, so on and so forth. Now, I ask people a whole bunch of questions because I do that because a lot of people do one thing that leads to a bump in the road in a relationship. They don't gain enough data, in a particular, conversation. And you know what happens? They assume some shit when they could have just asked the question. I never called this man a beta. I called you a beta.
No, you didn't call me a beta.
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Did I call myself an alpha?
No.
Now, if you felt that way, that if you had those kind of feelings, why didn't you just ask me if I felt that way, as if I was speaking over on you, as if I felt that you were a beta? Wait 1 second, as if I felt you were a beta, and if I was an alpha, and I would have responded like, "No, brother, I'm just trying to, get an understanding of what's going on, because I don't want to assume anything. I don't like assuming anything because I don't like having wrong data." And the reason why I don't like having wrong data is because I don't like talking, talking and behaving, and I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I like to have the truth.
Let me jump in here real quick, Haran. I want to address one of the comments. Someone said, Code Red said parasitic. Yes, Code Red, parasitic. I think humans are very parasitic, and we see that a lot on YouTube. Just take YouTube, for example. There are a lot of people in these spaces that rely on and exploit other human beings for profit. A lot of them. They rely on other people's existence and exploit those people for profit. That is why they're constantly scrolling, looking for, let me see what topic I can copy. I don't like what this girl said. Let me talk about her for 6 hours. I don't like what that guy said. Let me dox him. They're very, very parasitic for profit. And that's just humanity in general. I wanted to interject before P.O.P responds. We're here because the questions weren't asked. You just asked you just asked P.O.P, well, why didn't you ask me if you felt like I was treating you like a beta and I was acting like an alpha? The reason why we're here is because those questions weren't asked. You guys just kind of said deuces, I'm out. So we're asking those questions today. We're communicating today for the first time. This P.O.P's first time on a panel. So this is our first time exploring this. I still truly wholeheartedly believe there's a lot of good here underneath the layers. See, now that Haran explained, I am the son of a psychiatrist. I do this for work, or that's how people come in the world, right? You know, I'm the daughter of blah, blah, blah. So that's the lens I'm looking at, you know, the world with. If someone is a doctor, they're constantly going to be looking at people like checking for ailments, observing for ailments. So I understand that's a big part of who you are. And now it makes sense, even to me, right? Because I'm like, Alana asks a lot of questions, but then, you know, I don't think it's a big deal because I ask a lot of questions, right? But someone else may not be able to respond that way. See, I would ask you, why the fuck are you asking so many questions if it bothered me? But Pop is not me and Pop is not you. So we have to be mindful of telling people, well, why didn't you say that if you felt it? A lot of people don't say what they feel. Okay, a lot of people say that they'll say it. We hear that all day. If I'm feeling something, I'm gonna let you know because I don't play. I tell it, and it's bullshit. 9 times out of 10, people are like, I ain't saying shit. I'm just gonna remove myself from the situation because people don't like confrontation, or sometimes people don't think that you're worth it, and they just like, I'm just gonna leave you alone, right? So we have to. So Pop, do you want to respond to that?
I forgot where we were at. What what am I responding to?
It's okay.
I will say this. I will say this. I never disrespected this. What's that?
Good.
No, I will say this. I don't believe that I ever outwardly disrespected this guy. I don't believe that I outwardly, if I recall, you know what I mean, try to drag him. You know what I mean? If I told him like, hey man, you need to get over some shit or, you know, man up and so on. I probably did say that, you know what I mean? I know me somewhere in the conversation that probably came up. But I never came after this guy. You know what I mean? I don't have any problem with him. I don't have any beef with him. You know what I mean? He never did nothing to me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We just fundamentally, after I began to really speak with him and really understand certain things, fundamentally, we're just really different on a lot of levels. And I will admit, it was difficult for me to understand that. Mm-hmm. Because, look, man, where I come from, and we're all products of our environment. You know what I mean? There's nature versus nurture. There's a number of variables that make us who we are. Where I come from, I don't even come from New York, but I come from, you know, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. It was literally one of the most violent times in human history in America. You know what I mean? In terms of the crack epidemic, the wars, HIV, so on and so forth. There was just a gumbo of incidents that shaped an entire generation of people. Now, with that being said, you know, I mean, I'm also from Far Rockaway, Queens. It was a very dog eat dog, you know what I mean, survival of the fittest environment. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a world where, you know, they don't do this anymore. But Jen, you know what this is. Remember when they used to G-check back in the days? If they see some, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like it was real shit. Like things like that. I grew up in that kind of world, you know, so my scope in life is always about, you know what I mean, fighting back, whether it's physically, personally, mentally, and so on and so forth, and tackling issues and not letting things, you know what I mean, break you down and bring you to your knees, you know what I mean? I also grew up in a very hyper-masculine culture. I'm West Indian, I'm Jamaican. Everybody who knows Jamaicans, it's a very hyper-masculine culture. You know what I mean? So there was a certain thing between him and I that I'll give you an example of that I was perplexed by. I never met anyone like this. Mm-hmm. He, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, he has a disdain for competition. I'm an ultra competitive person. it was kind of different for me to be like, well, for me to conceptualize that, because I was raised around ultra competitive people. You know what I mean? You know, my mother, everyone, you know what I mean? It was, it was about, you know what I mean, being competitive and winning, you know. And but I will say that as I got to know him, you know, there were just certain things that I learned, and I said to myself, it was fascinating because I've never in my life met someone who was the complete antithesis to me. It was a
Okay.
fascinating experience.
So you were intrigued by him.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah, it was very like, you know what I mean, like, wow, you know what I mean, I've never seen someone who was like the complete total opposite
So
of
but
me.
okay, but let me stop you right there. So now it sounds like what Pop said. He felt like an experiment. And you just
Oh
said
nah.
you found it intriguing. So here you are dissecting Love Pop. He thought he had a friend, and you were looking at him through the microscope, Haran.
Well, in that regard, that wasn't my intention. Me personally, I'm the type of person where if something interests me, I look at it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? A lot of things bore me to tears. You know what I mean? I find most people not interesting. You know what I mean? For you, for an example, I find you interesting. You know what I mean? There's certain, you know, things and ways that you handle, and I'm like, wow, that's a very interesting way to handle it. Most people, I don't find them fucking interesting. That is one of the reasons why I don't talk to most people. You know what I mean? But if you have something about you that's like, wow, okay, that's an interesting perspective, I won't necessarily treat you as an experiment. I will want to say, like, hey, why do you think this way? This is peculiar. Why is this? I want to learn more about, you know what I mean, how this person thinks, you know what I mean? Because as we do that as people, you know, I think that that's beneficial for everyone because we learn to grow. When we learn that there's different kinds of people in the world and, you know what I mean, so on and so forth. However, in hindsight, again, I can see how maybe he thought, I can see how this can be seen and through a particular lens, because it's like, yes, he was just probably trying to confide in someone, and here I was just thinking like, oh wow, this is interesting. What is this about? And maybe there wasn't just a, maybe I'm trying to zero in on this. Does it feel like the thing wasn't genuine? Does it feel like, you know what I mean, my interest wasn't genuine?
Yeah, it felt like it wasn't genuine, and I think you needed balance. It's like you didn't know when to turn off the questions. Like I'm
Okay.
what are we having a conversation, or is this an interview? It's like it's just like you just kept. It's like I think if you had balance with like some, sometimes you ask questions, then like I just found it weird that like we never chatted about the stuff that we chatted about in the public. You and I always talked about movies, and I mean, I always gave you props on your reviews of movies. It's like we never talked about that stuff behind in the DMs. It was just always like personal stuff, and and after a while, that just started getting weird to me. And like towards the end, I started like backing it up. Like no, I'm not answering that. Like no, I don't want to talk about this. Like it just got weird, like for me. And the other thing that I had a problem with is you and I are part of a couple groups together, and not saying that this is the a fact. This is just subjective. This is what I felt. Like I noticed every time I was posting anything about a relationship in public, whether it's my public post or on in the group that we're a part of, it seemed like you was coming for me. It seemed like you always had like this debate type vibe. Anything that I was saying, you would always say the opposite, and it just was redundant. Like, and I just got tired of. I'm like, man, where's this dude coming from? And it's like after a while, I was just over it. Like, I
I will
mean,
ask one thing. Excuse me, after you're done.
it got to the point where like, um, I think you're a decent guy, but I'm like, okay, like some friendships just don't work. I mean, you're not the kind of person that I wanted to have a conversation with. So I went about my business. I kept it moving.
Pop,
I
did you
will.
Haran, before you respond, Pop, did
Mhm.
you feel like Haran had all this extra leverage and ammo because you told him so many personal things? So then he
That's what. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, so then he had leverage, like when you did say something about a relationship, he was coming at you like with that ammo, like, yeah, I know what you really about, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And then try to go get contradict whatever you said. Did you feel that way?
absolutely.
Haran,
You
okay.
do.
Go ahead, Haran.
Again, I mean, I don't know how he could get that kind of energy. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I never openly disrespect the guy. I just had a difference of opinion with things. But there's one reality that he never, even to this day, I mean, I was hoping he'd come around and realize. There's one reality about the situation that he hasn't realized yet. He's never asked me anything about me. It's always been about him. He's coming in my DMs talking about himself and what he's, I mean, situations about himself. Never asked me anything about my life. Not one thing.
Would you have liked, before Pop responds, Haran, would you have liked him to?
Sure, I mean, maybe that would have been great. It's not all about what he's going through. If brotherhood is it's reciprocal, it's a mutual exchange. Now, I mean, if you want to come in on somebody, and sometimes I felt like he was literally unloading on me. What do you know? Do you know what I've been through that day? You ask me what's going on, but a lot of times it was about what he was going through, and I didn't say anything about it. You know what I mean? I didn't take it personal. I didn't be like, "Yo, man, I'm going through that," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, all right, no problem." Like for instance, Pop. I'm 3 years sober, and I talked about, I mean, my addiction issues on Facebook. Have they
Mhm.
asked me about that?
No.
Okay, seems like a real serious thing. You know what I mean? If somebody would say, "Hey, man, I mean, how's I mean, that going along?" Never asked me about that.
You see what happened here. Like, you felt like he should have asked certain things, and then Pop feels like you should have asked certain things, right? And that's why I'm glad we're having this discussion now, because hindsight for both. Pop, do you feel like it was one-sided? Like maybe you could have been a better friend and ask him, hey, what's going on in your world? What's going on in your life?
Almost definitely, I could have, but like it seemed like he was more interested in mine, But I could have, but it seemed like the focus was asking me a million and one questions about my life. That's what it felt like. And as far as him being sober, like that happened once we went our separate ways. We never talked about. I think he told me about. I think he did tell me about like a drinking thing at one time, but um, I don't know. I think we had gone our separate ways by then, but yeah, it could. I mean, yeah, I said balance. You know what I mean? Like I felt like the balance is having a conversation is, and having a brotherhood is, you talking about your life, me talking about my life. But it was very one sided, and I have other brothers in my life now that we have actual conversations. We have we talk about each other's lives. We talk about general things or whatever. Like the friends that I have in my life now, it feels like a conversation. It don't feel like an interrogation. And a lot of times it felt like an interrogation. And he knows, like towards the end, I start speaking up. I'm like, wait a minute, hold it. I start like, wait, yeah, there's too many questions, man. But at first I was open because I was open to constructive criticism. I tried my best to be open to constructive criticism because we didn't talk about, he gave me a lot of constructive criticism with the music. It definitely wasn't no balance there either. That definitely was all critical, all negative, and I received it. I'm like, because I want to get better, and I mean, like, I wanted to get better, but with him, it just everything just seemed one way. Everything is critical. Everything is critical. Everything's not good enough. I'm like, okay, well, but I don't ever remember him like just saying anything uplifting or positive about me ever.
Haran, when you guys were communicating, first of all, congratulations on your sobriety, right? Karen, your podcast also said, congratulations to you, keep it going. That's very important. Let's not overlook that. When you were communicating with Pop, were you struggling with your addiction during that time?
Yeah.
Do you think that contributed maybe to the way you handled him?
Oh, no.
No?
Nah, nah. And another thing too, I have given this guy compliments. I have. I told him, I was like, hey, Walter, you seem like a nice guy. You seem like a decent guy. I mean, it's I mean, unfortunate that you've gone through these situations with the women that you've gone with in your past and so on and so forth. I've said that. I've given this guy, I mean, props or whatever you might call it. In terms of constructive criticism, I didn't see it as a negative thing. Like for instance, if I'm playing a guitar, what I mean, and the guitar's out of tune, if somebody tells me your guitar's out of tune, it's not a negative comment.
Oh
My
no,
fucking
no.
guitar's out of tune. Wait one second. Wait one second.
Yeah,
I mean, my fucking guitar's out of tune. Out of tune. Now, you might have been going. You asked me about a particular thing, and it was based on where you were trying to go.
Mhm.
You told me you wanted to go in a particular direction, and I based my critique on, okay, well, if you want to go there, then you have to do X, Y, and Z. Now, if you didn't want to go there, I'd have been like, hey, you find where you are, just do, what I mean, whatever. But my critiques were never intended to tear you down or destroy you. I'm not that kind of person. You know, I'm just not. I'm not here to tear people down. I don't know if you've noticed since I've been here on the show or even in other, even on Facebook, I mean, my intention is to uplift people. Now, is it with kitty gloves? No, a lot of times it's not, especially with black men. You know what I mean? It can be a very fucking cold world. It can be a very horrid, experience for us. And a lot of times we do not have the luxury of, care and coddling that other races and other ethnic groups might have. So that is one of the things that I do preach. You know, does it go down well for everybody? No, it doesn't. Now, the same manner in which I speak to you, the same manner in which I handled you, I've addressed other people. You know, and like I said, it's never the intention is never to hurt you. It's never to harm you. Why would I do that? Especially if you didn't harm me. Like now, if you harm me, it's a completely different situation. You know what I mean? But again, you know, I will say this right here and right now, right here and right now. If there was ever anything or any moment in time when I made you feel unseen or less than a person, I humbly apologize.
Hey, Jen, are you crying?
First of all, let me just say thank you for acknowledging that, Haran. Thank you for apologizing. Before I put in my 2 cents, Pop, do you want to respond to that?
Well, I appreciate that, and a lot of that stuff was like many years ago. And, I looked at it as, sometimes the way I saw everything. First of all, I think, I look back at me and Haran's interaction. I think him and I would have been cool if it would have just stayed at general things, just talking about music, talking about pop culture things. I think once it got personal, that's when it went off the track. I think, you know, because we've had some great conversations about the things that we both like. We both like sci-fi. Whether it was comic book movies, like music. We had some great conversations, but like the personal lane, looking back, that wasn't really a good lane to go in. It wasn't really for us, and that's okay. But yeah, I wouldn't want to have that kind of friendship where I'm talking about my business and my personal life with him. I don't have nothing against Iran, but the boundaries would be at what's going on in my personal life. I would I wouldn't ever want that kind of relationship, or not relationship, friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fine. I think it's everybody's right. We get to do this one time, as far as we know, this thing called life, right? So
yeah.
I think we have to be mindful of not wasting time or being in spaces that just don't make us feel good. That's not to say that we have to feel good 24 hours a fucking day, because that's not realistic. But control what you can control. And some people are just good, acquaintances about business. I have friends that I just deal with for film, for film works. But I would never tell them, oh, my daughter is this, or I'm going through this with my daughter, what should I do? Or my man, or whatever, right? So, you have to be very careful, because sometimes we get comfortable talking to people and we tell them a lot. And we don't want them to use that against us. We don't ever want, our personal struggles to be used against us. I commend Haran for apologizing. You guys both do music. You should collab on something, but that's just me. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not telling y'all to kumbaya, because I know I hate when people try to put me with somebody and I'm just like, no, I'm cool on that. No love lost or found. That's also a possibility, right? No love lost or found. Like I said, I have immense respect for both of you, or I would not be doing this. I care for both of you, just getting to know you guys, even though it was via social media. I've had personal conversations with both of you, and I respect both of your points of view. Of course, Haran and I have more similarities because we're both from New York, and I wanted to speak on that. We have there's a weird echo going on. Is that Haran? Hello? Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Hello? All right, guys, I'm gonna keep you on mute just till I finish, because when I talk, it's like this little weird ringing in the back, and then I'll unmute you. I just wanted to say really quickly that, I know I've done that a lot. We care very deeply. We hate very deeply. But when we care, we are tough. Like, I have a forked tongue. I'm like, when someone comes to me for advice, I'm like, bah, 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 bah. You know what I mean? What the fuck is it? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, right? I wouldn't handle it that way. But I think we're doing a disservice to people when we only look at their problems through our lens and how we would handle it and what we would do, because everybody's not built like us. I may ask Pop for advice on something that he can handle in a better way than I would, where I would just throw the baby out the bathwater and scorch the earth. And that's not good for me, right? Because I can't scorch the earth everywhere I go. So, I want people to understand that there is value in people that don't look like you, talk like you, walk like you, think like you, and solve problems like you. There's still value in people. No, stop, do not be out here looking for your twin. Yet and still, I'm a tough love type of person. And although our intent, I'm sure Haran's intent, I don't think he's a malicious person. I don't think he's a hateful person. He's just a product of his environment. He's a product of his daddy. I'm a product of my daddy. Okay. And that's how we come out in the world. But I had to check myself, even emulating my father, where I'm like, Jen, is that something that you would do and you would say? Or are you just emulating your father because you love him so much, right? And you're so enamored by his way and his will and his masculinity. Like, is that you, Jen? Is that how you feel, Jen? Or is that something your father would say, right? So we have to be mindful of that as well. Like, who are we without the input of our parents or religion or environment or neighborhood, right? Who are we outside of that? So we have to be mindful of that when we're dealing with other people, and also give people a little grace when they didn't grow up how you grew up. I'm Bronx, bang bang. You know what I'm saying? I'm a whole different person. But I've had to, at my older age, thank goodness, you get older, you get wiser, hopefully, in this life, right? A lot of people don't. A lot of people stay, idiots. But as you get older, the point is to grow wiser and to consider everybody's not like you. You may not let that person just, unload and just listen. Sometimes people just want you to listen. That's another important thing. Sometimes people just want you to listen. They don't want you to tell them how horrible a human being they are for not doing what you would do. Because even though it's not your intent to disrespect, even though it's not your intent to hurt somebody's feelings, even though it's not your intent to make somebody feel bad, they could very well feel all of that when they walk away from you because of your delivery, right? So it's not about, well, I didn't mean it that way. It's not that simple. It doesn't matter how you meant it if it affected someone that way. So that's why I love what we did here tonight, because Haran apologized. He apologized. He's like, look, I didn't mean it that way, but this is my way. And also to the people that don't think like us, that don't think like Haran and I, you also should give us grace, because we were raised on survival, okay? From walking down the block in our city and hoping we don't get shot and into a fist fight, to having parents that were very, very rigid and strong and very critical of other people. My father was extremely critical of other people, but it kept me off drugs and off the pole. So, I'm grateful for my father for being a very rigid individual. So give us grace as well, right? Because the way we present to you is our armor. This is how we've survived. This is how we've, stayed off of a lot of and out of a lot of very negative things. So also give us grace, where it's like, I tell people all the time, like, you'll know if I really don't like you. You'll know. So don't assume because I'm talking to you a certain way or raising my voice or saying fuck off or what, I don't like you. Like, you will know. The people I no longer deal with and I don't like, they know. They are not in any wonder. They're not wondering, how does Jen feel about me? Because I make it very, very clear when I do not fuck with you anymore. So similarly, like, we have to give each other grace and understanding and apologize, because we're not going to get it right. We're not going to get it right all the time with other people. These people are raised different, grow different. We all come from different backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures. We have PTSD. We have trauma. My mama said one time, my uncle did one time, my father did, you know what I mean? We're all coming to each other broken, right? And then we're trying to figure it out. So we all have to give each other grace. A lot of heat is put on, us New Yorkers, right? But everybody should give everybody grace. Easier said than done, I know, but it's just something that you should think about as you get older. And apologies are very important, sincere apologies. Not everyone's going to be able to tell you that shit hurt. That shit you just said hurt. I feel like a piece of shit right now. Not everyone is going to tell you that, but they're going to feel it. So I'm glad that we had this conversation and things were revealed, and Haran, understood the error of his ways. Haran's still a good guy. Let me unmute you guys. Right? So it's important because I know I've been through this too. What's up, Necessary Evil? All right, guys. Woo! That was heavy. Again, I
If
think
I can say one thing, if I can
yes,
say
I'm
another
not
thing,
rushing. I'm not rushing you. Please. Say,
yeah, you know, from I've been on Medium for like years, and
Okay.
I bumped into his one of his articles recently,
Okay.
and he was talking about his life. He was talking about his life and where he was. I think it's his. I think it's the most recent one. I don't know, but he was talking about who he was and who he is and whatever. And I read it, and at this stage in my life, I looked at it. I mean, from a particular space, and I was saying to myself, you know what, this guy experienced things that in a manner that I didn't experience them. But that doesn't mean that his experience doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that he should not be given the grace to have space and, occupy, the world in whatever way he sees fit that works for him, you know. It may not work for me, due to, but I live and have lived a different life. I am in a world, in a space that put me in a circle of, yeah, I literally have dealt with wolves my whole life.
with what?
That's not wolves.
Okay.
And this is not to say, like, let's just call it what it is. It's not to say like I'm some official street nigga or some shit like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that even not being that, I had to learn how to survive even on the most minute level, and make a life for myself, and for a great deal of time, you know, I had to turn my emotions off
Mhm.
in order to, have the headspace in order to really go out there and do what needs to be done. You know what I mean? Because that was the environment that I was in. It was New York. I mean, New York will swallow you whole if you do not get with the program. It's very
Be more
get
to.
down. You know what I mean? It's a very get down or lay down environment. And, I work in a particular industry, especially with finances. You know what I mean? I work in a particular industry where it's just, it is what it is, or it is what it is, and there's no excuses. But I say that all to say that I'm learning more so in my life that, okay, I have to learn to know when to shut these things off. You know what I mean? I have to learn more so where certain uh certain ways of dealing with things just don't suit me.
Mhm.
My intention might be one thing, but no one really gives a shit about intention.
Right.
You know what I mean? They give a shit about how you make them feel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like, yeah, you know what I mean? Now me personally, like, I don't give a shit. Like, the way me and Jen talk to each other, we talk to each other like New Yorkers. Like, I'm serious. Like, if she would come to me if I came to her with a problem, she would just say to me, "Well, you're acting like a fucking idiot." I wouldn't take it, what I mean, anywhere, because what I mean, it's just New York shit. What I mean, it was like, yeah, you're right. I am being a fucking moron right now. What I mean? But again. Again, I have to learn that, nah, every space ain't that, man. Everybody's not a fighter. Everybody is not some fucking, silverback warrior.
Right.
Out here. Some people just want to live. Some people just want to mind their business, and that's okay.
Some people just want to make gloves for the
Right,
fight.
right.
Some
And
people
that's
just
it.
want to buy tickets for the fight.
Right, right,
Everybody
right.
ain't
And
your
that's
friend.
good. And that's all
Everybody.
good.
Hey Jen, I want to speak to the article that he read of mine.
Yes, please. Let me do a super chat break though, because I gotta acknowledge
Okay.
Necessary Evil. Thank you so much, Mama, for the super chat. She says, in the name of solidarity, okay, and RBR Network for Women. Thank you for the super chat. Says, breast cam like a motherfucker. I ain't mad at you. Black men can get along, but we have to be honest about the self-hate. Thank you for that super chat. Reese from Philly says, Haran, manhood at its best. Proud of you, bro. Thank you for that super chat, Reese. Haran said, peace. And I know, Pop, you're from Baltimore, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's no Fantasy Island either.
No, not at all. Y'all seen The Wire.
That's no Caribbean island. So what did you want to say? For those of you just getting in here, Pop is a writer on Medium. He has amazing articles. I think I've read just about all of them. And now he's becoming more and more popular on Medium, so he's doing well. What's your name on Medium?
Walter Pop Matthews IV. My whole name that I use.
Walter Pop Matthews IV, if you're on Medium and you want to check out his article. So you wanted to speak to Haran reading your recent article.
Well, the article is called Who Am I? I Am Who. And like what I explored in the article, I went through about 2 or 3 traumatic incidents of my childhood and my early 20s. I wrote about all of these traumatic events, and my goal in writing about that was, by the time I got to the end, I was thinking every one of those events, something that happened with my family, something happened with my mother, my first breakup, all of those events led me to where I'm at now. Those events turned me into the writer that I am. Those events turned me into the man that I am. I'm wiser. I'm more discerning, and so that the whole point of the article was to explore this darkness, and explore the darkness to see how you can get to the light on the other side. That was the whole point. The whole point was, all of these events made me who I am. And Jen, I wanted you to read it because I noticed that you talk about a lot of men and a lot of Black men not dealing with the trauma of their mother. And in that article, I talked about some trauma that I had with my mother and how that led to something. So I thought about you when I wrote that certain part about a lot of men aren't definitely a lot of Black men aren't honest about the trauma that they go through with their mothers. We hear about the fathers a lot, but what about the sometimes it's trauma with the mother, and that reflects on how we treat women, our experiences with our mother. So I just talked about a lot of those, a lot of those experiences, heartbreak, disappointment, abandonment, and by the end of it, it was the light at the end of the tunnel. It was a happy ending because here I am.
Well, congrats. And anyone listening, I will get that link for you and it will be in the description box. Whether you're watching live right now or you're catching this on a replay, I will put that Medium article that Pop wrote. It will be in the description so you could click on it and check out his other work. I did drop the link. I don't know how long I have the gentleman for, but this was an amazing conversation. So if you want to come up and comment on the conversation we've had so far, please feel free to do so. I did drop the link. I see someone backstage. Oh, I have a lady coming up. I like when the ladies come up now. I dropped the link. Cam up if you want to talk to the gentleman. If you want to talk about your own experience, what you feel about Black men getting along. Black men are not a monolith, but can they still be an asset to each other? Although these gentlemen may not, again, skip off, into the garden and pick lilies together, they at least came to a happy medium here. I think Haran apologized. Things were explained and expressed, and there is more understanding. Doesn't always mean that they have to, kiss and make up. It could just mean moving forward. Haran has more information on dealing with people, and Pop has more information on dealing with people. And that was the goal tonight. I don't do the phony shit like, oh, everybody get along, because I know life is not that way. But, we can learn from each other. I dropped the link, Cam up, if you want to join us. And who we have, Miss Polly. How are you, beautiful lady? Yes, more boob cam.
Hi, Cam. Oh, yeah. It's nice to see you, Jen.
Jen.
Right. It is. Yeah, it really is. It's nice to see you guys this evening. And I hopped on for a minute. I didn't want to take too long, but I did want to, I love to show you love, Jen, when you're on. I'm always like missing it. And I'm like, dang, I know, it's nice to see ladies on here with you, because we see a lot of men always in our cam. So it's nice to see women give their opinions, and then especially on a lot of your topics that are, for everybody. So I do like that. I just wanted to say that first. But if you guys
coming up.
Yeah, I really love coming up on here. Like I stopped saying anyway. So since I'm Miss Polly, and I have two partners now that are males. Like I do see that trend where, sometimes you're bumping heads, and you just kind of got to work it out in those tough conversations. And when I saw this thing, can they get along? I'm like, absolutely they can get along. And it doesn't have to be like we're high-fiving, but to see Black men really join together and accomplish things, and it's not always a competition, but rather sometimes us going together and building something, or just showing people that you're not just brutes, or all selfish, and that you're more than just that image that they give you on TV. Because there's different sides to men, and they get a bad a bad rep for just being always just aggressive and just not I don't want to say sensitive, because I don't want to give that wrong impression, but have emotion. Men are emotional too, and they may show it or display it differently, and you just have to know that person. But definitely, I think it's nice to see people get along, and especially Black men show that they can move past things and be positive. Even if they don't agree, still just agree to disagree and move on your different ways. So, I definitely going to go back and watch some more of it. Like I said, I caught the tail end of it, unfortunately, but I'll go back and we'll check it out. And you guys, it's awesome that you guys came on here to Jen's show and kind of shared. I think I like that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Miss Sally. It's good to see you. Before you go, let me ask you a question, because you up here. Hello, beautiful lady. I need to keep you on for a couple minutes.
I ain't go nowhere. We're still here.
Okay, I get testosterone up here like crazy. It's nice to have some flowers up here. Okay, so I know you didn't catch the beginning, but basically these two gentlemen, first of all, this is Pop's first time ever on a YouTube panel. Okay, first time ever. Awesome. So we're experiencing a first here. Haran is one of our faves. These two women, I know both. I know both of them. We have social media friendships. I have a lot of respect for both of them, and they both had kind of like a falling out. Not a real falling out because there weren't no words exchanged or any like a fight or anything, but just kind of like they gave each other the deuces. Like, you're not my person. Sometimes you meet somebody and it's like, all right, you don't really fit in my tribe, and that's okay. We're gonna move on. So tonight I wanted to bring them together. This was impromptu, last minute. I'm like, look, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Let's do it. So I'm giving a lot of credit to them both for coming up and doing this. It takes a lot of guts. I wanted to say to Pop that your last Medium article was a very, very vulnerable thing. And I appreciate you for doing that in a time where being vulnerable can destroy you on social media because people use it against you. So for you to have the guts to say, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me between me and my mother, is huge. Okay, so salute to you, because there are a lot of things I want to share moving forward about my family because I think it will help somebody else. But I already know coming out the gate that people will try to use it against me. But we have to go forward thinking the people that your story helps are much more important than noise. Right? So I commend you for that. Oh, we got Damien. How are you, sir?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Peace.
How you guys doing?
Damien from Can I Get Some Podcast. Damien's from Can I Get Some Podcast. Miss Polly, in case people don't know, you are polyamorous and you have 2 boyfriends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two partners.
Two partners. Do you see them having conflict with each other ever? Or are they just
now? No. In the beginning, yeah. I mean, I've been with my partners a good minute now. So yeah, in the beginning, there was like a lot of separation. You know, a lot of men don't, you know, the idea that they're quote unquote sharing a person or a woman in the Black community is frowned upon point blank. That's a negative kind of, connotation with it. So, kind of, they didn't want to know each other, didn't really want to know much about each other. And that was something that, I was kind of like, okay, I respect that you don't want to do that. But, in the idea that we are still functioning and that things that happen to you may affect me and things like that, I thought they should get to know each other a little better. And then they all started conversing and things like that. But yeah, they're 2 different people, definitely, even age-wise. So I think what happened is they kind of got together, like they're pretty chill now. Definitely, definitely chill.
That's your quick question is, and I'm gonna get back at to the brothers up there because I really want to congratulate them on being like you said earlier, vulnerable enough to put the bullshit aside and kind of try to, even if they're not going to be like kumbaya best friends, to just kind of get to a place where there's civil discord and there's no underlying beef between them. I think that's super important. Everybody think everybody has to be everybody's best friend. I think just lack of strife is just as helpful to our community as everybody being all best friends and stuff like that. But back to you, Paul. I just got a quick question with the brothers. Are you currently living like a joint life, or is it like they're just accepting that you have 2 separate relationships outside of them, or all 3 of you have some type of relationship dynamic going on?
Yeah, we have now been more. Well, one moved in with me, so that changed the dynamic, and so that kind of changed a little bit. But yeah, they don't date. They're heterosexual. They're not dating or anything, but we interact usually on a daily basis. And so all of us together, so that happens. So I mean, I think we're at a good place now, but like I said, it took some years. It didn't just happen like overnight. So that took some time.
A different discussion
to get it together.
I've had my own experience in that realm as a young man. So definitely different discussion. We got a channel. I'll be more than happy to be on a guest and tell you much. Yeah.
Damien was probably like the rabbit hole gets deeper.
Look at this. They're everywhere. Right? They're everywhere.
All right. I'll give you a brief synopsis because I don't want to derail the topic because this is a very important topic.
No.
Back in my early 20s or what have you, I met a woman who had a girlfriend on the side. But the funny thing is the woman I met was actually technically married. And she had a girlfriend, and it initially started of like them wanting to have a place, like they would use my place in order to like be together, what have you, without the scrutiny of like her husband and other people, what have you. And then all of a sudden they start like inviting me into the situation. And then we just developed a whole like relationship for like 6 months. It was non-exclusive or what have you, for the first couple of months, but then it got pretty exclusive. I considered them both my girlfriends for about 3 or 4 months. And then it kind of went the way, then the second girl started really want to just have like a one-on-one relationship with the first girl. And then it kind of fizzled out after that because there was some jealousies and insecurities that started to come into play. But yeah, if you ever have a show on that, I'll be more than happy to get into detail of that with you.
I'm always looking for topics. It sounds like what Tristan just said. Let's go poly chaos. Let me do a super chat break, Damon, before you get into what you've heard so far from P.O.P and Haran. Thank you so much, Afro Universe, for this super chat. So, Damien, I know you have a lot to say. I saw you hitting them keys in the chat. What say you, sir?
Yeah. Like I was saying, like I remember when I first came on here, like I saw like Haran asking a lot of questions, and I take it as I feel like you can ask a lot of questions for a couple of different reasons. Number one, to kind of bring out somebody ignorance, or to inform, or to feel superior, or what have you. You can ask those questions, but I really feel like Haran asks a lot of questions because he's trying to gauge your ability to have critical thinking, as well as maybe deal with abstract ideas and stuff like that. I think a lot of that, because he comes with a lot of abstract ideas that a lot of people may not just get. But like I said, and then I also said, but if the P.O.P's perception of what he's doing is actually the reality, it's like if he's feeling like, hey, you know what, you're coming at me, you're trying to make me feel inferior, and you're trying to make yourself look superior, then that has to be expressed, and then it has to be addressed. And that's the thing that I was trying to get into, is like, a lot of times what we do is we harbor these things in silence, and then just build up this animosity to a fever pitch, to where there's a blow up. Because there's a lot of times in our community, what we don't do is just nip it when it's at its infancy, and just kind of like, approach it like, okay, you said something that seemed a little condescending. Let me know what you was thinking when you were saying that, because a passive aggressive thing people do is they ask a question when they already formulated a narrative or an answer in their mind. And I think that could become problematic. And like I said, it can lead to a boil over, a spillover in an exaggerated emotional response later on. So I think one of the ways that I think brothers can do that more, and it's just like what I do with my boys and what have you. I just, I don't let anything slide. If it's slick shit and we going back and forth, I know I've known them long enough to know what's the true intention. If it's intended to be just funny, or you just roasting each other, whatever. But if it's on undercover slick shit, I feel like, hold up. You gotta make, because I'm taking it one way, so I need you to explain how you actually meant it, because I'm taking it the way from my experience, and my experience is telling me you saying something different. So if your experiences make you expressing it, your sentiment is different, we need to know. So I think that's what it is. And it's just like, and I think that eliminates anybody feeling like, they're not getting their point across. They're feeling like a sucker. They're feeling like somebody is trying to like belittle them or what have you. I think nipping shit in the bud early is the way. And you got to retain your objectivity, because emotion is the death of objectivity. It's like, if you get emotional, you're no longer objective, and then the emotion takes over of the conversation, and it's objectivity that's the bridge to true communication and understanding. So that's my 2 cents. You need 58 more cents to get on the bus. All right, so.
See, don't y'all appreciate me? I tell people fuck off in the beginning. I harbor nothing, okay? I let nothing fester. If I don't like you, I tell you fuck off. With that said, Damon, you made a great point, because we're not taught to communicate on that level. I learned that I'm talking about lately, like my 30s. Okay, like late in my 30s, how to communicate and take the charge out of what I heard versus what the person meant, right? Because two different things. But I've never been, I think it's a skill to let things fester. I don't have that. The chip in my brain that lets things fester. I wasn't born with it. I'm always like, what the fuck you say? What you mean? What you trying to say? Right. Also, you made a great point about with your boys. Do you think, because we know our people, we know our friends, we know when we're kidding, like, girl, what's wrong with your hair? What that lipstick looks? We know when it's friendly banter. Do you think that sometimes even friends go through phases where they start making snide remarks, right? Because my experience, I had a girlfriend for almost maybe it was getting close to 30 years. And I noticed the older we got, like the jokes didn't sound or feel like jokes anymore.
Yeah.
We would be out in groups and she would say certain things. Oh, because when Jen, and I was like, that doesn't feel like the old joke. So it's like, what's going on here? And I didn't like it. Eventually I had to cut her off. But what do you think about that? That's something else to look out for.
Well, I think that you're perfectly right. I think what happens is people start to grow at different paces, and then what they're trying to do is just try to like. It's like a lot of people can envy your progression if theirs is feel like they're stagnating, and they can just do things to try to make themselves feel better. Like, oh, Damien's got that or whatever, this kind of stuff, but I think what happens is that's the thing those are things you need to super address and just be like, look, I need to know where this is coming from. Is this coming from like, you proud of me and you or whatever, or you feeling me, or you just joking with me? You want to keep me grounded? You feel like I'm getting too full of myself? Where is this coming from? As opposed to like, hold up, bitch. That was slick. You think you cute. I ain't fucking with you no more.
Right.
Know?
Right. And that's true. Like you said, that intent is really real and serious, because like I think we underestimate the value of relationships that we have. And any kind of relationship. I think people they think like every day these interactions that we have with people, they're kind of meaningless. That people just walk by like it doesn't mean anything. But I mean, you can just say hi to someone, tell them they look nice. It'll change the whole day, the whole mood. The interactions you have with people are really important. And like you said, some people, they may start feeling feelings. Like girls tend to do that. Like they do a lot of low key stuff because they're feeling a certain way. And that's where, like, I'll be honest, I actually like to hang around men a little bit more. And one of the reasons is because sometimes they're a little bit more honest, direct with stuff. So even if like you can kind of feel it out, women kind of seems like it's layered. And sometimes I can't read that real well because I tend to like realist. I like someone to say, you look bad today, regardless of our friendship, because I want you to tell me because you care. It's more like, I'm doing this because I care. The intent is there for a good, positive reason, even if it's something I don't want to hear. And then the way you do it also is appropriate. Like, I don't want you to say it in front of everyone, maybe take me to the side, but the intent is good. So I think, like you said, these interactions, especially with friends, people you've been with a long time, family members, they start feeling a certain way, especially like yourself, if you're becoming, you're blossoming and they're not part of that and they're not going anywhere, that jealousy can happen and you're not addressing it. You need to address it so that, you can be in a better place if it can be fixed. You can't do anything about being great. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop yourself from being great because they don't like it, but definitely like address it,
Good point. And one thing I think people need to do is triage their friendship and realize what type of friendship it is. Because I have, like you said, there's different tiers of friends. I don't mean like I care about one more. It's just like they represent different things in my journey. Like I have friends that this one cat is like, oh my God, we've been friends for 30 years. I'm like, no, we were friends 30 years ago when I was in that place. If I want a friend that I just want to reminisce about all the wild shit I did in high school and early 20s and shit like that, you that guy, because you're gonna make me relive it. We're gonna be like laughing. We're gonna be back in that place talking about, oh, I remember when you did X, Y, and Z, and you know, that's the friend. And then you have people who've been your friend for 30 years. They've progressed, and their progression has aligned with your progression. Even if they're in different spaces, their overall mentality has elevated from where they were when you first start kicking it with them. Because I got cats that like are still out doing wild shit, the same shit I did 20 years ago. I'm like, dude, don't you get you the old dude in the club now? Like, I mean, it's okay to go to the club. I mean, but you don't gotta go every week, you know. It's just, you know, you that dude, you know. We used to talk about that dude, you know. And he, like, I'm just like, so it's just like you got to kind of consistently kind of triage the kind of relationships you have around you to make sure that they and understand what purpose they serve, you know, and to agree, make them understand what purpose they serve, you know.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's interesting because that's exactly
and be okay.
Right. The girl I'm talking about, it was the same exact situation where it was almost 30 years and she was holding on to this longevity thing. Like, oh my God, we've been friends for 30 years. And I'm like, no, now it's starting to be, I've just known you for 30 years. Like, I don't do that stuff anymore. Right.
Yeah.
That's where the friction began. And it's like, Jen is Hollywood now. Like, them jokes started becoming more and more frequent. And I'm like, no, Jen is a mother now who wants to set an example for her daughter now. That's what Jen is now. Like, it's not, Jen didn't go Hollywood. And as you can imagine, it ended badly. She said I betrayed her because I didn't want to continue our friendship. I thought it was an amicable split. I looked her dead in the eyes. I was like, I just don't think that we're going the same direction or have the same things in common. I still love you. I think you're great. But this is not working. And then she started acting like a jilted lover, like saying all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, thank you for confirming. I should have let you go.
Yeah, this one cat, the cat I'm talking about, who I did the 30 years, who you were friends for 30 years ago, like not too long ago, maybe like 6-7 years ago, I guess he's a married cat. And he was like, he was getting married. And he was like saying, I'm going to Vegas with this chick, you know, if just my wife's going to call you, my fiance is going to call you, just say that you're going to Vegas for your bachelor party or a bachelor party or something like that. And I said, dude, I'm too old for that shit, man. I'm like, you too old for that shit, man. I'm not having your wife call me to confirm what you're doing. I'm like, if you can't handle your scandal, don't bring me in this shit. I am not the one for that. And he got pissed off at me. Because at 20, I probably would have done it. At 20, I would have done it all day. I'd be like, oh, he's sleeping, he's sitting in the car right next to me. You know, we going through a tunnel. I can't hear you. You know, that kind of stuff, you know, all day. But I'm like, man, when I got to like 30, I'm like, man, we like 35 or I think I was 40 at the time. I was like, dude, you're like 40 years old, dude.
Yeah, you grown out of that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, if you constantly are reevaluating, triaging your friendships, you mitigate the likelihood that you'll have real discord. There's always going to be some friction, but you won't have those, you know, those real discords that could like lead to the end of it. And because you won't you'll know how much of yourself to give to that relationship. So
right.
I
think we're all
and I think sometimes.
Go ahead, Ms. Fun.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, I think people think it's bad to say that there's a time for everything. Like during this time, we meshed well. We did get together, and it was a time. And it's a time for something. It doesn't have to be forever. Like, you know, there should be short-term relationships, long-term relationships. And, you know, you were great during this time in my life. You helped me, supported me. That's great, but we're now separating, you know, even if it's a friend. And I think some people get offended by that because you're moving in a different direction. But yeah, there's a time and place for some people, and they're not there for always. But the memories were great, and you just move on.
One of my best experiences with a man happened over a 3-day span, and we never dealt with each other again. Now we're still friends. We're cordial. We're like, hey, what's up? But it sticks in my memory as a really, really good, genuine time for those 3 days. So it's like stages and phases. It's funny, Damien, going back to your friend, because in my 20s, you know, my boy called me up and he was like, yo, my wife caught me out there. I need you to act like my side chick and tell her you're not going to see me no more. So he gave me my number. Listen, he was like, I was like, I can't do that. He was like, you're an actress, you could do it. I was like, oh my fucking, and he gave her my number, and I had to act like the side chick that wasn't gonna do with him anymore. Like,
Wow.
I can't be with him anymore. Hey, he was my boy. I was in my 20s. But today I'd be like, I'm too old for that shit. Get your life.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, man, nah, I'm not the one. I think I've eliminated a lot of cats who the failure to, who had that arrested development and failure to progress. It's just like my circle is so small of people that because I feel like this. I don't even have I have people I know. And then I got family. That's it. That's what I got right now. It's like people I know and then family. Like the family are not necessarily my brothers. Like there's people like my long-term friends because they're constantly providing something to my life. Like I said, the reason I initially was like what piqued my interest about Jen is like she reminded me of one of my best friends. And I was like, and what that means is, like I said, it's not that you look like a man. We obviously don't. It's just like, he is the kind of cat that is going to be himself in whatever situation, and it's always appropriate for the situation. And he controls his narrative, and he's one of those cats like, if you feel like the person doesn't lie to you, it's a whole lot easier to not lie to them.
Ooh, I was just talking about that. Someone had asked me, someone had asked me, what was the word? I forgot what word he used exactly, but he was like, I like how honest you are. And I said, look, you know why I'm honest? Because hiding shit is a waste of time for both you and me. And you are more comfortable around somebody when you always know like what they're about and what's on their mind. So I was like, I'm not going to lie about shit. If I have to lie, I'm not going to be in any situation. Right. Yeah. And I think you're most comfortable around people who keep it all the way real, but really real. Like, this is what it is. This is how I am. What are you feeling? This is how I'm feeling. Can we move forward or not? Right? This is what I think of you. You can tell me what you think of me. I feel most comfortable around people who are that way. I hate being around people like you're trying to figure them out. Also, like with the friends, like, she's bringing up stuff we did when I was 16 and 7. Remember you body slammed that girl? I was 16. Body slamming.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. You know what I mean? So some people are arrested development. So going back to the gentlemen who have graced us with this amazing topic tonight, can Black men get along? We saw it here tonight with two men that had, big differences in opinions of each other. They ironed it out. They explained why they thought what they thought about the other person. And I think they have clarity about the other person. And I feel like that's closure, and closure feels good. That's not to say you always going to get closure. Sometimes you got to move the hell on. But I think this was wonderful. This wasn't a stream that, I had 100 people in here, because I'm not talking about beef. And I knew that coming in. But I'm so proud of this. And these are the streams that I'm proud of, because I feel like people get more out of this than me coming up here and talking about some jackass who did a reaction to my video. I'm so proud of my panel. It took a while to get this gathering and these ladies and gentlemen that come up to this panel. I'm really proud of it. And I don't care if there's 2 people up here, but I'm really proud of it. Even people who hold me down in the chat. So proud of Pop, because this is his first time on a panel. And he was like, I don't know, Jen. And I was like, come on.
Look how long it took. Look how long it took you. It took you about 2 years to get me on here.
But I did it.
Did it. Finally did it. Finally jumped off the cliff, Now
it'd be super easy. Now, if you want to jump on any other topic that ain't focused on you, you're going to be like, oh, that's nothing.
Oh, it's nothing. I mean, it's like I'm already off the cliff. I'm already jumped.
But here's why I did it. This is a little gem for y'all. Here's why I did it. Like I said, starting out, I have a lot of respect for Pop and Haran, and I felt like this conversation was important. But Pop is an artist, same as Haran, and Pop has, really, really beautiful, uplifting, deep articles on Medium. And I told him straight up, I said, dude, you are an artist. As an artist, it is your duty to share your art with as many people as possible before your clock stops, okay? That is our duty on this planet, to teach, to bring comfort to. That is what artists, that is the meaning of an artist. That is the duty of an artist. So I'm like, start coming out, showing your face, because the more people see you, the more people will get your word. And that's important to me, right? I can't do it
Jen,
all.
you got any info about him in the link? I'd love to like check out what he got going on YouTube.
Yes,
Haran. I mean, like,
I'm gonna put the link to his Medium in the description for anyone watching live and for anyone catching the replay.
Appreciate that, brother.
His link will be. It's really, really great work.
Thank you.
I get bored easily. People bombard me with articles and videos. It's a lot of information, but I always P.O.P's articles because I'm like, I know it's gonna be good, and it's a and I'm not blowing smoke. You know me. If I don't feel a way, I'm not gonna say I do.
No, you keep it real.
You know, I keep it real. But with P.O.P, I know I'm gonna get 3 to 10 minutes of a getaway when I'm reading his articles. Like my day is crazy, and I know if he sends me an article for 3 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna be somewhere else. Okay, he's very descriptive in his writing. It's very deep. It's very heartfelt. So I enjoy the material. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I will put it in the link in the description so you guys can support P.O.P. Haran is also an amazing musician. He fronting. This man plays guitar and piano. Okay, we got a whole Beethoven on the panel, and I was telling him, well, he has to start posting his videos as well. There's a lot of talent. That's not being shared, and I want these guys to come out of their shells. And and I know it's scary. This bitch is scary. YouTube is a cesspool, but we have to have balance. So when I meet somebody I feel can have can have balance, can bring balance to these spaces, I'm gonna pull you on that cliff. I'm gonna come on. Haran, are you still with us? Because we're about to sign off.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, are you gonna? Are you gonna grace us with more guitar and piano?
Yeah, sure. I haven't written in a while, but I'll be honest with you. Have to be clear, I've had years in the music industry and so on, and frustrations and whatever, and some of that stuff I kind of put behind me. But going forward, talking with a few friends of mine, and just getting back into certain headspaces. I've been thinking about getting back to writing and composing again.
Do you just do it for fun? You do it for like just fun and kind of cathartic to just kind of like focus your mind on other things? Do you see it as that, or do you see it as like work?
No, I've actually done work on some CDs for some people. This actually that just dated myself. No, people who actually in the industry. I've actually done work professionally.
No, I mean, do you do it now? Are you doing it? If you do it now,
now would be. I got a friend of mine who actually wants me to come, work on some stuff up in London for a couple of his artists. So I'm on the fence with that.
I envy piano players. I had this one homeboy, we'd be walking through the mall and it was like this music shop, and he sat down and played piano, and he'd just sit down at the music shop and play piano, and a crowd would form around and he would get all the honeys. I used to so envy this man's ability to just play. That was the great equalizer. I mean, that man, I'd be sitting up there, we'd be walking, and you see a bunch of girls like, sitting at the piano, like play some Michael Jackson or some Prince or something like that, and they just be like, "Now I'm dating myself," and and everybody coming over.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, there was some times in college where playing "Ribbon in the Sky" was a great icebreaker. You know what I mean?
An icebreaker. It was a panty dropper. Keep it 100.
Yeah, for real.
Wow. That's how we doing it, Lord.
That's how you do it. Haran, just don't overthink it. Just put it out there. I don't care if you play "Mary Had a Little Lamb" on the keys.
What I'm saying.
Put it out there. Just put it out there. You will find your audience for it. Don't perfect it. Just put it out there. Perfect it as you go. All right, lady and gentlemen, this was amazing. My heart is full tonight. It's going to be a great Friday night. I hope the same for you.
Yes.
I just want to end on the actual topic in the question. We can start with the lady who graced us with her beautiful presence today, Miss Polly. Can Black men get along? Can everybody answer that question before we exit tonight?
Okay. I will say yes, because yes, they can, and I would like to see more, you know, demonstrations of it around me just being polyandry. I see it, but I want other people to see it, especially black men. Um, they're so powerful together, you know, working together. So I would love to see more demonstrations of it and show that, you know, they're not just reactive to everything. You know, it's not like, oh, someone tells you something you don't like, and they're going to explode if you know, that's not how it is. And so I love to see it, and I like to see more of it. And so I do think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes, absolutely. It's just a little bit more conversation and understanding and just trying to break down those walls of communication. I think we'd be really good. But yeah, I think it's a yes for me. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really good at that.
Haran DeMarco, can black men get along?
Yes, provided that there's a degree of maturity, you know what I mean, on both sides of the aisle, where people can have an honest conversation, where people can see, you know, where they might have gone wrong and so on and so forth. Because a lot of times you might try to bring, you know, I mean, two parties to the table, and even as a mediator, you might try to sit there and try to mend the situation, but both, you know what I mean, it can't be a situation where people are grabbing onto ego. A lot of times, brothers, we need to, you know, let go of the ego a little bit, you know what I mean, in order to have a productive conversation and say that, okay, well, I can see where this might have, you know what I mean, been taken a certain way, or no, I didn't mean that in this particular way, or, you know, maybe you should have done that. It's just all about maturity, man. You know what I mean? If you're going in hot, defensive, you know what I mean, just literally ready to fight, nah. You know what I mean? And but yes, the short answer is yes. We can do it. We do have the capabilities, provided that we let our guards down.
Damien, can black men get along?
Absolutely, black men can get along. We can get along as long as we make sure we surround ourselves with like-minded people who are celebrate our successes. You know, if you always are and you recognize when somebody is not beneficial to your journey, I think, and eliminate that that potential impediment. And like I said, just fill your circle around with people who are all progressing in the direction that you want to get. Well, you know, then we can all get along. Yes, we 100% can all get along.
And last but not least, Pop, his first time up here. Can we give him a round of applause? This man came up here for the first time ever. Okay. So
Thank you,
grateful.
everyone.
Can black men get along?
Can black men get along? Yes, we can. We can get along when, just like Haran said, when we put the ego, we leave the ego at home. We have to realize if we can embrace each other's differences, we have to realize as black men, we are not a monolith, and that's for black men and black women to know. We we are a broad spectrum of we're not the same. So if we can embrace each other's differences, communicate, be accountable, we can elevate and go to the next level together.
And we saw all of that here tonight. So even if y'all want to be asses and not share this stream because y'all lazy, at least have this conversation with the black men in your life, the men in your life in general. Okay. I know I got my whiteys who watch me too. My Latinos, I need to see more of y'all in here, but have these conversations at home, have these conversations with the women in your family as well, because sometimes a woman can mediate a situation and bring black men together where they would have otherwise been, you know what I mean, a war going on. We have that power as long as we got these. Right. You know how it is, ladies, okay? Men, listen if you got these, okay?
Are you sure? They can't,
Right,
but they're not.
right.
They may be listening, but they're not hearing the words you say.
That's the other part.
As long
That's
as
the other
they're here,
part.
nobody's bleeding. Nobody's bleeding, David. I'll take what I can get.
Lord.
I'll take what I can get. But this was amazing. Thank you so much, Miss Polly. Good to see you, Damien, Pop, Haran. This was really, really good. Like I said, my heart is full tonight. Have an amazing Friday night. I may see y'all tomorrow. Jonas said, thank you for contributing. Chat, thank you for holding me down. There were a lot of great comments in the chat as well. Thank you for your input. Tristan, you ain't up here, so I got to dismiss the class. All right, guys. So I am out. Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Right.
Thank you, Jen. Peace, Ron.
Peace, man.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. And we is done for the night. All right, so hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Share this video on your platforms if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm on. I am on the block with Jen on all social media platforms, from TikTok to Facebook to YouTube to Instagram. On the block with Jen everywhere. On the block with Jen Cash App. A lot of people ask me because they don't like doing the super chats. On the block with Jen Cash App if you want to buy me a smoothie and support the show. All right, guys. So good night. Have an amazing weekend. Bye, Tristan. All right, guys. And I'm out.